Last session on the Two-Headed Serpent, our heroes reunited themselves after Charles and Ethan came barreling out of the lungs of this creature, this monstrous creature that is lying below the earth, and came up into a bit of an angry mob of trolls who seemed worried about the desecration of their most holy of places. They found Bart and Jane waiting for them and reunited pretty quickly, grabbing up Gunhilda in the process and getting the hell out of there, pursued by a mob of angry trolls. They flew out through the main entrance and out into the skies beyond, where, while Bart and Jane, and to some extent Gunhilda, plotted, Charles and Ethan basically just buzzed over the angry trolls, winding them up further. Eventually, they came up with a plan where they reunited and headed down the chimney of the volcano, down into its depths, as a way of trying to get back into the base. Down there, they found, or at least they could see at the bottom, some kind of big room with machinery and lights and serpent people in it. And Charles and Ethan decided that they were going to try to sneak in ahead of the others and just get the lay of the land. And they went down just below the ceiling, realizing they were about to get spotted, tried to then hide behind a large bit of machinery. Unfortunately, Charles took control of the sphere to try to do this, and in the process accelerated it to quite blinding speed, smashed it into the ground, shattered the sphere, knocked himself out, and injured Ethan quite badly. At this point, attracted by all the noise, the serpent people are running over, drawing weapons, and Jane and Bart are hovering overhead, witnessing the chaos that is to come. So, let's pick it up from that point.
Just because I have a feeling it might come up soon, how does the pain whip work?
It uses the whip skill, so it is a base 5%.
5. Yeah, 5.
There's a whip skill?
Yeah.
There's a reason why you have it and I didn't keep it.
Surely Bart should have at least 90 in this.
And
it's all on the wrist.
Beyond that, you've not really tried, but I mean, the whip itself is this sort of leathery, scaly material, but what makes it weird is the fact that it has what appear to be fangs and venom sacs embedded within its material, and it seems to be somewhat alive.
Bart briefly considers using the whip and is like, it's not quite a riding crop. Let's practice first. And pulls his flame pistol. What do the figures that we see sort of milling about in the general direction of what I can only assume from the sound was Ethan and Charles crashing?
So, yeah, just from your point of view then, as you're looking down, assuming you're moving down a bit further just so you can see what's going on, there are people running. There's a couple of them together, a couple running from different parts of the room. They also appear to be pulling out flame pistols, and they are running over towards this bank of machinery that has got, lying beside it, the crashed remains of this hemisphere, along with the unconscious and bloody form of Charles and the bloody form of Ethan. You can see as well, obviously, I guess you're not spending that much time looking at this, but there does seem to be racks and racks of these glass spheres all around, as if they're being stored here. You also see some metal cages incongruously, including a couple that seem to have large things moving inside them, or at least moderately large things, but again, yeah, it's a lot to take in all at once. There are banks of machinery. There's this thing that looks like a long silver hose with a nozzle on the end that is hooked into another bank of machinery. But obviously the main thing is, bloody unconscious Charles, bloody Ethan, glass, and running serpent people.
It seems we might need to collect our comrades, if we can. Oh, God.
I don't know about that, but perhaps we could give them a fighting chance to run for those.
Yes.
For the spare flying saucers.
Do we go cages or nozzle?
Oh, choices.
Both?
Choices. Cages first, darling. Then we'll see where the night takes us.
Okay.
Okay, so you swooping down into the room.
Quick question first. How much concentration does flying the thing actually take?
It does take pretty much all your concentration.
So I can't really do much else at the moment.
Yeah, whoever's piloting it, it is pretty much what they're doing.
Are you flying or shooting, darling?
Well, I am a keen shot, and I seem to be piloting this thing really well. Are we allowed to talk about our stats out of character? Because Jane is quite a good shot.
I have an 89 in handgun.
Okay, no, I'm 70, so let's stay as we are then.
Perhaps you could just hand your firearm to Grunhilde. Grunhilde, these people you can kill, and they probably were responsible for your brother. Shall we?
And I pass her my 1920s commercial Luger pistol.
You've handed her your Luger. I mean, you're obviously doing this all in a big hurry. You don't have any other weapons in there. So you've handed her the Luger, and she's looking at it like she's trying to work out what the hell to do with it as you're swooping in.
Oh dear.
I just sort of reach over and I pull the toggle lock backwards. Okay. Point and shoot. Take us in, Jane.
Let's go to combat then. So, obviously, the first person to act here is going to be Ethan with his dex of 90. So, Ethan has just rolled, is lying in all this broken glass, is bloody. You can see the unconscious form of Charles there. There is the other half sphere that is swooping down from the ceiling. You can hear running footsteps coming over towards you. What are you doing?
So I've done like a combat crawl to get over to him. And I'm like, Charles! I slap him in the face a little bit. He's unresponsive. And I realize I've got all these cuts on
He is unconscious.
my forearms and my knees. And I'm like, I just got this skin. Those bastards are going to pay. All right. So I grab my elephant gun. And I'm like, hang on, Charles. We'll get you out of this one. Then I aim up at the first guy I can see. And I unload the first barrel.
Well, let's have a luck roll first of all, because you did crash into the ground at speed. So let's have a luck roll just to see whether you did manage to keep hold of your elephant gun or whether it's gone skittering off somewhere else.
I got a 15 against 63. I have 2 elephant guns. No.
Nice. Then the strap on it is held, and you've still got it. So you can bring it up, and as I said, there are 4 of them running in your direction. There are 2 running pretty much side by side, and there are 2 running separately from different parts of this room, which you can see is really quite a huge room. Are you going for anyone in particular, or are you just being pretty much at random?
I'm going for the 2, I guess, guards that are near each other.
So you got to shoot one, then the other, are you?
No, one barrel, because I've learned from my mistakes. And last time I unloaded both barrels, although dramatic and glorious, I really kind of needed the other shot, like literally 2 seconds later.
Yeah.
So, and this thing takes a while to reload. So there you go. I've rolled a 13 against 80.
Okay, well, don't bother rolling damage. The minimum damage you get on an impale is going to kill this guy outright. So, you bring your elephant gun up, get the first shot off, and you basically blow the entire torso out of this figure in a lab coat or white coat that's running towards
just 2 arms, a head, and some legs that just fall down in a pile. Where'd the body go?
Pretty much. The serpent person who was standing beside him is absolutely covered in gore at this stage. He has got the flame pistol on his hand now, but is just stopped and is staring at the ruined remains of his pal.
Does he have to roll sanity?
In an ideal world, he would. But I think at the very least you have shocked the hell out of him. But the other 2 are still running over towards you. Right. So what are Bart and Jane's dexes?
Minus 50.
85.
Okay.
Just Jane.
So Jane is getting to act before any of these serpent people. So your plan at the moment is what? Just to bring the sphere in, into the midst of them all, or over where Charles and Ethan are? Where are you taking it?
Yeah, so she's basically going to kind of try to get in close enough so that they can shoot with pistols.
Okay.
And she kind of says to them, "Look, let's try and keep one of them alive at least so we can question them."
Perhaps one in a lab coat.
Gunhilda, she's been looking at this Luger you've handed her and just drops it inside the bottom of the hemisphere, grabs the stone club that she was using earlier, and just leaps out of the sphere and starts running over towards one of the serpent people.
I mean, low-key, love Gunhilda for that. Love that for her.
Bart just raises an eyebrow. I was like, okay.
And yeah, okay, I'll just roll quickly for her here. So on her attack with it, she gets, that is an ordinary success. The serpent person she's fighting is going to... He doesn't have a melee weapon, so he's just going to try dodging out of the way. And that is a fumble. That is a 98 on his fumble.
Oh dear.
On his dodge. So I think, considering it's a fumble, I'm going to give her maximum damage there. So he has...
Probably something along the line of...
He has 12 hit points. Oh, but she's got a damage bonus. Okay, so you remember that guy in the lab coat you said you were going to take alive? Well, she's just brought this stone club down and smashed his head open like a melon.
Well, because he tried to dodge, can we say he kind of bobbed into it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's about...
He just headbutts it.
She swings and he kind of headbutts it. Oh, no, oh dear, yeah. It's just splat. Uh-oh.
Okay, and then...
Well, do you think either of the other ones will have any information? Bart.
They'll have more than
well,
we
let
do.
me move around to Bart. So there are the two other serpent people who are running over in your direction as well, who, having seen that they're now outnumbered, and having just seen two of their comrades die very bloodily, have slowed down a bit and do appear to be reconsidering every choice in their life that has brought them up to this moment.
Bart starts rapid fire with his Browning.
Okay. Yeah, because of the position you're in, it's not point blank range, but it's just going to be a straight... Well, do you have the rapid fire talent?
I do have the rapid fire talent.
Okay, so you don't get a penalty die on this. So, what, are you putting two shots into one and one shot into the other, or are you aiming all three at the same
Yes.
target? Right. Okay, so...
Basically, aim center mass for the first two, and then aim for the belly on the third one.
Okay, give me 3 rolls then.
Okay, so that's a 72 against 89, a 75 against 89, and a 2.
Okay. Well, do you want to give me damage rolls then?
That's 12 and 4.
Okay, he only had 7 hit points. Okay, and the other one.
I guess the third, the one that got the singleton, got the impale.
Yeah. So what's the
which would
damage
be
on
what?
that?
It's
So
full damage plus
a roll.
So 10 and 12.
Okay. Yeah. He was the tough one. He had a lot of hit points. Not that many though. So yeah, you basically just shoot him through the face, and so within pretty much a second or two of you swooping the sphere down, you're just surrounded by corpses.
You couldn't have just gone for the kneecaps. Ah, never mind.
I was aiming for the kneecaps. I just did.
Can I try and do a first aid roll to see if I can bring Charles back around?
You absolutely can.
All right. 89 against 55. I can't seem to get him up. But, Jane, do you think you can you lift? He's so big. It's ridiculous.
I'm not that well versed with
Not that kind of big. Look.
Bart doesn't think he can get Charles up.
Well, there's a first for everything.
Is there anything we can do to wake him up?
Well, Jane could try a first aid roll as well.
Can I just assist Jane? Sort of. be the,
I only have a 30 in first aid, so we'll see.
Must I really help? Oh.
46 over 30. Does assist add anything, or is
I
it
think
just
considering he's just failed,
a flavour assist?
I think the best you're going to get out of this is just pushing him out of the way and telling him to stop being so silly.
But sit.
Yes, ma'am.
I think, I will spend the luck for my good pal Charles. I basically slap him awake. Charles!
Okay.
Charles! Charles!
Charles can get a D4 hit points back there.
I got a 4.
Yes! It's my healing slaps.
How many hit points do you have?
I have 4 out of 28.
Oh dear. Were you dead?
Yeah,
that kind of unconscious, not knocked out, dying unconscious.
Oh shit.
So
I didn't realize.
Charles is covered in blood. His clothes are even more torn thanks to all the broken glass. There are dead bodies all around. But yeah, he is beginning to come back to what remains of his senses.
Charles? Charles?
Now what?
Are you there?
Did we win?
Well, in a fashion, yes.
And what's the layout of the land? Is there other exits? Presumably there's no more serpent people around.
Now that things have calmed down a bit, you can see a bit more about the kind of room you're in. It seems to be circular, roughly following the shape of the chimney that you just came down, but much larger. The roof is slightly domed. There are racks and racks of these glass spheres around, and there are a few that are lying on the ground, split open into their hemispheres. A couple of them seem to be in pools of some clear liquid. There was this long hose-type attachment that is going into this bank of machinery. There were a few cages with what you can now see are animals of some kind moving around in them. Yeah, banks of machinery. There is, over on the far side, a door, a fairly large-looking metal door that is actually closed at the moment.
Is that the only exit out of here?
Well, that and the chimney, yeah.
Let's take up, and sort of Charles sways a bit, take up a overwatch position on that door while we explore the room. All that noise is bound to have attracted attention.
Absolutely. I start loading in the other barrel, the barrel that I fired off.
I wonder what's in this nozzle. Maybe it's that
Okay.
clear stuff. Jane's interested. How can we use this to our advantage?
Is all the machinery seeming to be linked with the spheres, like the racks of glass spheres, or is it independent of that and maybe could be attached to something else?
At the moment it's difficult to say. If you're trying to work out what the machinery does from the labels on them, you could give me a Nakal roll.
Could I give you an electrical repair roll?
Nope.
Okay. I get an 80 versus my Nakal of 12.
Yeah, it's in Nakal.
There's words on these. Squiggly. I think they might be in Chinese.
Chinese? I speak rather good.
Oh, no, Nakal.
Oh, bugger. I do try to read them anyway.
Yeah, you can give me a Nakal roll as well.
Yeah. 68 versus 15. Well, I clearly understand this, but it's far too technical for any of you, I'm afraid.
Maybe I can figure it out. And Charles starts taking one of them apart.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, actually, if you wanted to work out how to use this without following the labels, the skill would actually be operate heavy machinery, which no one ever takes.
Ooh. I have 40% in that.
You do?
I have 40% in it. I did take it.
Nice.
And I got a 46 versus 40. I will spend the 6 luck. It is a success.
Okay, then through trial and error, you work out a few things. You work out that, some of the controls are there to move these spheres around, get them into position. But, a lot of them are also to do with pumping that fluid in. And you work out that, actually on the successful roll there, obviously by moving away from the console and examining the nozzle and stuff like that, you work out that that hose actually goes into an aperture on these spheres that doesn't seem to appear until you go near it with the hose, and then sort of irises open. And from the diagrams and so on the console, you work out that the spheres are supposed to be filled up with this fluid.
I don't know what's in that hose, but it fills up those spheres. Maybe it fills them with air or water or... I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what this clear fluid is.
Hang on. And can I guide one of the spheres? Like, if you push some of the levers and buttons, we have to use a single finger on, because Charles' hands are so huge now.
By the way, while this is going on, I mean, just because it may feed into what you're doing as well, were the others examining the other things in the room? I think someone said something about checking the cages.
I mean, is Greg in there?
Jane and Bart were interested in checking the cages.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what do you find in the cages are a number of animals. There are about half dozen capybaras in there, for a start. There are a number
Charles shoots them.
There are a number of other rodents there of various sizes, including guinea pigs. Give me a spot hidden roll to see whether you notice something about them, the two of you who are checking the cages.
Yeah. 45 against 80.
So what Jane notices is that the fur on some of these some of these creatures appears to be damp.
Is the liquid of any colour, or does it seem...
No, it's clear.
Just... Okay. So... would Jane assume it's the same liquid as the one from the nozzle and in the ships and things like that, or something different, or?
I mean, there's no reason not to assume that. It's odorless and clear, so it's difficult to tell. It would be easy to mistake it for water, except it seems to be a bit more viscous.
So she kind of turns back and says, they seem to be, I don't know, testing this liquid on some of the animals, or maybe they just happen to be sprayed with it, but I don't know if it does anything. I'd be careful, but the animals look normal-ish.
Bart, hearing this, is going to walk over to Jane and sort of pick up a bit of stick or perhaps broken glass and just sort of scrape it across one of their backs so he can get a better look at the liquid.
Yeah, I mean, it could be water, apart from the fact that it's just a bit too viscous.
Well, I must say I haven't the foggiest idea what this is.
As I mentioned before, there was one of the spheres that was broken open, or at least, split into two hemispheres, over on the ground that did seem to be in a pool of very similar liquid.
Okay.
But why would they be testing it on living creatures? If that's indeed the case here.
Somewhat scaled up lab rats.
I just wonder if we should avoid touching it.
Oh, always avoid touching liquids till you know what they are.
And was Ethan... He was playing look out at the door, wasn't he? Or checking whether anyone was coming there.
Yeah.
Let's have a group luck roll.
That just means the person with the lowest luck, doesn't it?
That's probably me. Oh no, maybe not. I'm on 61. Anyone lower than 61?
I'm on 63.
Nope.
I'm on 77.
That's me. Okay. I get a 93.
Oh dear.
Okay. So
Rip
Ethan
Greg.
over by the door. Well, the door is ajar, or at least it was ajar when you went over there. Yeah, it looked closed from the other side of the room, but now that you're there, you can see that it was open a crack. And you can hear the sound of footsteps. Well, it doesn't sound so much like, people or serpent people coming towards you, more like perhaps... Oh, actually, I'll tell you what, give me a listen roll to see whether you can work out what's going on.
I got 66 against 20.
Okay. Yeah, you can just hear noises on the other side of the door.
Of 4 adorable little scaly feet on the floor. Running towards us.
I'm like putting my hand up just to see if I can get everyone to be like, shh, shh. I think someone's coming. And I wait.
And yeah, they don't seem to be doing anything. Again, you can hear voices whispering to each other in a fairly sibilant way, and every now and then the sound of movement, but you can't quite make out what they're saying or doing.
Can I try and get a bit closer? I'll sort of try and stealthily creep near the door, but not be visible through it, I guess.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, give me... I'll treat this as you pushing your listen roll. You're trying to get yourself into position to actually hear better.
Yeah.
Give me a listen
I
roll.
don't think I have any interest in pushing a roll where I have a skill of 20, personally, just...
Yeah, but
your ears
you're
fall
still
off.
trying to achieve the same thing, but you can make a stealth roll for this.
Okay, and it's a push roll, so some big consequences.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Oh, I got a 3. Let's just say it was listed.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I mean, but you can get yourself into position and get your ear up against the crack in the door and listen. And what you can hear is voices on the other side saying, well, you go in then. No, you go in. I'm not going in there. You go in there.
Say for an evil cultish organization, they're a little bit Laurel and Hardy.
These are just scientists. I'm gonna I'm assuming I have the attention of Bart and Jane and everyone and Charles, like, because I said there's someone, I could hear something.
Well, it depends. They're all looking at various things at the moment. They might be ignoring you. I don't know. It's up to them.
It's up to them.
I think Jane's ears are too bat-like to ignore anything. They're just going around constantly like satellite dishes.
Okay.
So I think she would have picked up on it, but...
So anyway, I'm like gesturing to come over because I can hear people talking.
Okay, so I can sneak over, hopefully.
We don't want them to know there's anyone near the door.
So what do we do next?
I think we go in
And shoot
and
them?
we're like, no.
Okay.
We talk to them. Hopefully, right? So, 3, 2, 1. And I kick down the door and I'm like, hold, freeze, stay there.
Just to set this up, the door is a big metal door and it opens in, so you're going to have to pull it towards you. But yeah. I mean, you can do that. You can slam the door wide open.
I'm like, please, don't make me do this. I don't want to kill you. I just want to talk to you.
You can give me an intimidate roll.
I don't think I'm actually very intimidating. Okay, I've got a 17 against 15, but I'm going to spend the 2 luck.
Nice.
The two of them have flame pistols wrapped around their wrists. So they look like two scientist sorts, and they As you've thrown the door open, I mean, they've half-heartedly sort of half brought the guns up, and then as you're pointing the gun towards them and saying that about shooting them, their hands are hesitating and drop a bit, and one of them says, yeah, we don't want to shoot you either. How about no one shoots anyone else, all right?
That sounds like a really good idea. I like this guy. You also put down your pistol, all right? And I point my gun down. I'm like, Jane, put your gun down. We're going to talk.
Jane kind of hesitates for a bit longer.
We can't really put these down. They're attached.
Just point it down. You don't have to, take it off. I'm still holding the gun.
Is there any way that while this is happening, a sphere comes shooting across at, manic speed and just crashes into the two of them? Like, if I'm in control of that.
We want to talk to someone.
Give me an operate heavy machinery roll to do that.
You're like...
I'm going to operate heavy machinery.
It's like I'm going to dangle a plot point in your face and then murder it with a glass
52
sphere.
versus 40. How much luck have I got? It's a fair one. Can I push the roll?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly can.
It's been nice knowing you, Jane.
You've just about worked out how to get one moving, but you haven't quite got fine control of it through the control panel yet. But
I'm just going to just aim it in the direction and go full speed.
If we're in front of them, surely you're going to be aiming for us first before you're aiming for them.
It's a big door, and I got a 20 versus 40 on the push roll.
Just before this happens, I'd like to think that Jane is about to start asking them some questions and she's getting into journalistic mode. She's like, so we just have some questions regarding this facility. We're researchers, you see. And myself and my colleague... ...
So while you're building your rapport and starting to get to know them and they're slowly coming to trust you, there is suddenly this whistling noise from behind you. This glass sphere whizzes through them past Ethan and Jane at, you reckon, something like 300 or 400 miles per hour. And there's just this blur. And then all of a sudden there is just this smashing, splatting sound down the far end of the corridor. And your two new friends are gone.
Oh my god.
I think I got them.
We were talking to them, darling. We need information. We can't talk to them if they're dead. Do you understand?
I mean, okay, I look really angry and upset, and I walk up to Charles, and I'm like, I can't believe that you did this without me. It was totally awesome.
Hey, I don't want to see you get burned again. I really heard those flame things. You're welcome, by the way, Jane.
Jane's walking away. She's like, I dislike you both very much right now.
But actually, for real, Charles, those guys were actually quite cool. We were just going to talk about their, academic experiences on the surface and whatnot. Apparently, they just wear human skin and attend university like the rest of us. Well, not me or you, but
I think Jane, she kind of momentarily walks off and starts kicking things, and then it's like she's a shop worker and she's gone around the back to have a little kick, and then not that I've been there, and then she comes back and kind of says, "Okay, I'll process this later. Should we carry on down the corridor, see if we can find anyone else, and not kill them, so we can talk to them, please?"
Just hang on. And can I try and get the sphere into this nozzle? I want to know what it does.
Okay, so I mean, you've worked out what's going on with the nozzle and the sphere in terms of inserting it in. Yeah, you do that, and it starts filling up with this clear fluid.
And these are spheres, not hemispheres.
Well, they're spheres made up of two hemispheres. It's like two of these hemispheres locked together to make a sphere.
Okay.
Oh. You seem to have found something here, Charles. Jane, how do you feel about animal experimentation?
Well...
And Bart really doesn't listen for an answering, I guess, and he takes the syringe that he's got, saying that it is the same... Is it the same fluid that's in these spheres?
No,
this is the silver
the sphere, the
silver.
Yeah, The stuff in the syringe is opaque. The stuff in the sphere is completely transparent.
Nonetheless, this is an opportunity for experimentation, and Bart is going to inject a small amount into one of the capybaras.
Okay.
This party's really got it in for capybaras.
This is not a good campaign to be capybara. So yeah, you poke the syringe through the bars of the cage, and the capybara, makes a few squeaky noises and tries to get to the back. But you get the syringe into it, and depressing the plunger, you can see from the point that you put it in, the capybara is crying out in distress at this stage. It's making a lot of very loud yips and trying to get away. And you can see that from the point where you stabbed the syringe in, that its skin seems to be turning to stone and is spreading.
Huh. I don't know what I expected, but this might be useful. Does it continue to just spread?
If you carry on injecting it,
No,
yes.
I don't waste any more of the serum.
Okay. So yeah, you pull the syringe out, and there is this half-ossified capybara in distress, dragging itself around the cage by its two front paws.
Well, this happens, could Charles jump in the sphere full of clear liquid?
I think so.
Right? It's difficult to jump into it because the sphere is closed up. If you got into another one and got someone else to put the pump in, you could do that, but you'd need help.
Bart sees Charles trying to, get himself into the sphere, and it's like,
It's opening up and all the liquid's pouring out.
perhaps we try it on our dear friend here before we put him out of his misery. I do feel somewhat bad for the pain he's in, but he sort of looks around at the corpses of all these lizard people. Hardly the worst thing we've done today.
True.
Can I open the cage to get to the capybara?
Sure, yeah, and unsurprisingly, it doesn't really do a very good job of trying to get away from you.
Oh.
I feel bad for leaving it in pain, but yeah, put it in the sphere. Fit her up.
Okay. Yeah, you put the half-ossified capybara in the sphere and fill it up with fluid, and the capybara seems, well, it was already distressed. It's hard to tell whether it's any more distressed, but it's there, at least its front half, bobbing around in the fluid. Its front legs flashing backwards and forwards, and bubbles of air coming out of its nose and mouth. But yeah, after a bit of time, it still seems to be moving around. Despite the fact that obviously all the air's gone out of its lungs, it doesn't seem to have drowned.
Wow.
Curiouser and curiouser. That stuff seems to be breathable.
Breathable liquid.
What on earth could they be using where are they going in these things full of a breathable liquid?
Very fast, it seems.
Do we want to get in one of these liquid spheres, or we're going to stealth our way through?
I would vote for stealth, personally.
I would recommend either Jane or I pilot one behind the main party in case a rapid getaway is required.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Well, you still have your half sphere, your hemisphere that you came down here in.
Where's Grunhilde?
Oh, God.
Yeah, now you mention it. She does seem to have wandered off.
Oh, shit.
But why could she have wandered off too? I mean...
As you say that, you hear the sound of gunfire from down the corridor.
Does it sound like a 9mm Luger?
Could be.
I pick up one of the flame pistols and toss it to Jane. Give her a quick rundown on how they work.
She got my fucking gun. Right, I've had enough of Gunhilde.
Coming around to my way of thinking, I see. Well, Shall we, gentlemen and lady? Gentle people?
There's another gunshot.
All right, to hell with being stealthy. Let's go. You heard that, right?
So just 2 hemispheres, yeah? Like magic carpets.
Or one each, right? Because we've got a whole rack of
so
them now.
4 hemispheres.
4 hemispheres now. Everyone gets their own.
You get a hemisphere, and you get a hemisphere, and you get a hemisphere.
Okay. So you pilot your little squadron of hemispheres down this corridor, and the corridor's only about 10 feet wide. As you're going down, there is another almighty tremor that runs through the complex. And down the corridor, you can see in the glowing green light, there is an almighty amount of gore against the far wall. Just blood and guts and meat and bones just smeared all over it in like some kind of abstract painting. You can see that there are 2 doorways, or at least there's a doorway on your left that seems to be open, and there's what looks like a flight of stairs heading down on your right. There's another gunshot that you reckon is coming from the doorway on your left.
Right, everyone?
Follow the sound, yeah.
Oh, I meant the opposite.
No, let's go left.
Oh, you mean the other left? All right, yeah, let's go.
Charles is just really confused about which way is right now. So that way right or that way.
Not that right, the other right.
You steer your phalanx of hemispheres into this room that has... You can see that there are, again, banks of machinery, that there are, as well, several large glass chambers or containers that are full of various coloured liquids. That there are perhaps medical tools and things in here. You're not quite sure. You're picking all of this up fairly quickly. But what is catching your eye first is that there are a number of people. Are they people in this room? That there are, human beings, or at least what used to be human beings, standing, some of them sitting and lying on the ground. And you realize that what happened to the capybara that you injected seems to have happened to them as well. That, some of them are still at least partly flesh. You can see a few faces, a few heads just sort of begging, crying, babbling away in Icelandic, but bodies that are ossified. There are bits of broken limbs in the ground. And there is this terrified, ashen-faced form of Gunhilda who's just going around with this gun, going around to every one of them that's still alive and just shooting them in the head. Let's have sand rolls.
I'm hardened.
This isn't going to help. This isn't just ordinary gore. This is weird.
Charles passes with an 11.
Bart passes with 35 against 76.
40 against 55.
Okay, so for all of you who passed, you lose 1. And let me guess, Ethan did not pass.
Oh, I got 34 against 11.
Okay, and Ethan loses 5.
Holy shit. That puts me on 6.
So, I think at this stage, then, possibly going around this room, well, maybe not at 400 miles an hour, but perhaps, using your hemisphere to try to finish off the job that Gunhilda is starting might suddenly seem like a good idea. But let's see how well that goes for you next session.
We've got to kill them all!
Wow. Okay. Thank you again. Thank you everyone for playing, and thank you everyone at home for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And we'll do a quick sign off. If you want to get hold of me, the best place to find me is on Twitter, either at JoeTheGM, which is my personal account, or you can find the podcast at HWR Podcast. We also have a Discord, a Facebook page, and a Patreon. Patreon is absolutely the best way of supporting the show. If you like what we do and you want to help us keep going, then please check out patreon.com/HowWeRollPodcast for early access to all the episodes and some Patreon-only stuff, including some Call of Cthulhu scenarios and Cult Divinity Lost scenarios. So yeah, patreon.com/HowWeRollPodcast. Again, thank you, Kieran, for playing. I think this may be the penultimate episode of Ethan.
We don't know that yet. We don't
a blast.
We'll see. Fingers crossed. Well, if anyone wants to get in contact with me, they can find me on Twitter and they can pray for Ethan. My Twitter handle is @Curran_J. That's KURAN_J. Or you can find me on the How We Roll Discord or the Does It Roll Discord.
Fantastic. Short and sweet. Again, Dave, thank you for playing. Where can people find more of you?
I am to be found on our Discord channel. And yeah, I'm gonna plug the Patreon a little bit because the cult stuff we've done is really good fun. Patreon exclusives are a thing, people.
It's been a lot of fun, and this episode's been recording, the finale of our most recent Cult Divinity Lost episode adventure is going to be released next week. So yeah, do check that out, please. And Camille, again, thank you so much for playing. Is there anything you'd like to plug, share, mention?
Yo, thanks for having me on the show. You can find me on the Discord at Camille B, or I'm on Twitter. I have various Instagram accounts. If you look up Camille Birod, you'll probably find me. So I'm available in a few places.
And last but by no means least, thank you so much, Scott, for playing and for taking us through this amazing scenario.
Well, thank you very much, Joe. And yes, if people want to speak to me, I am on the How We Roll Discord. I'm on Twitter @SDorwood. Or alternatively, if you want to hear other stuff I do, check out the Good Friends of Jackson Elias podcast, which I do with Paul Fricker and Matt Sanderson, my co-authors on this campaign, and we talk about Call of Cthulhu and other weird and cool stuff. You can find that at blasphemoustones.com.
And we'll be back next time with the next exciting episode.